Coming up on the bench, Syracuse men's basketball came into last week on a losing streak. It would not be easy for the Orange to get off it, with 16th ranked Illinois and an ACC opener against Notre Dame on the docket. Find out if Cuse got off the schneid.
Plus, two stiff road tests this past week for SU women's hoops. First, the Cuse hit the Midwest for the final ACC Big Ten Challenge ever against Purdue. Then, the Orange were off to nearby Connecticut for a date with Yale. Find out how Felicia Leggett-Jack's crew fared.
And Syracuse men's soccer can taste the College Cup. This weekend, the third-seeded Orange had a rematch against Vermont in Central New York. The answer to if Cuse is moving on is next. An hour-long edition of On the Bench starts right now. Hey there, welcome to On the Bench with Johnny Gadamowitz. I'm Trey Redfield. Thanks so much for joining us. Johnny, it's a semester in review tonight, so it's only fitting that we're going up to 60 minutes instead of 30.
Trey, we've got so much to get to. I don't even know if 60 minutes is going to be enough, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's the first OTB that's 60 minutes long since 1987. That's crazy, but this week's headlines may be even crazier. Start spreading the news. Syracuse football is playing in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium. The Orange will be taking on Minnesota from the Big Ten in about 3 weeks. These two met last in the Texas Bowl back in 2013, where Cuse took down the Golden Gophers 21-17. The 7-5 Orange look to finish the year strong on a high note on December 29th at 2. Follow Jacob Morris on Twitter at JacobMorrisTV for live updates from the Bronx.
It might only be December, but that doesn't mean we can't have some news trickling down on the lacrosse front. Both the men's and women's teams have released their spring 2023 schedules. Per usual, it's an absolute gauntlet for both Gary Gate and Kayla Trainer's crew. The men face 4 squads that reached the NCAA tournament, including 2 semifinalists. SU has road games at defending champion Maryland, Virginia, and Duke. Now, as for the women, the Orange opened the season with a 3-game homestand, but it's not for the faint-hearted. SU's first 2 games inside the Dome against always stingy Northwestern and Maryland. As for that ACC opener, February 25th at Pittsburgh.
In her first collegiate event in more than a calendar year, Syracuse track and field distance runner Amanda Vestry returned in a huge way. This weekend, the redshirt senior set the school record in the 5,000 meters. Vestry ran a 15:42.48 in Boston, beating Paige Stoner's record by about 2 seconds, set back in 2018. Vestry finished the event 17th overall, one that featured professionals running alongside the Rochester native.
A recent SU cross-country alum has found success at the professional level. Pennsylvania native Paige Stoner won the U.S. Championship in the women's marathon on Sunday. Stoner finished the race at 2:26.02, which was a minute and 39 seconds faster than the runner-up. Stoner was a 5-time ACC champ during her time on the Hill and finished 17th in the 2017 NCAA Championships.
The ACC Big Ten Challenge had its final chapter last week. For Syracuse, it was a tall Tuesday night task. 16th ranked Illinois stood in the way in a road clash, and the Orange came into the matchup losers of 2 straight, but that skid continued. Cuse lost 73-44, where it did not feature a double-figure score. And with that, Johnny, Joe Girard did not score a single point.
Trey, not only did Girard put up a goose egg, but the Orange as a whole shot just 28% on the night. Now, Illinois wasn't perfect either. The Illini muster only 5 3-pointers all game and still managed to win by 29 points.
So Tuesday was not so pretty, but stakes were high again on Saturday. The ACC opener against Notre Dame was next, and this was a Fighting Irish squad that defeated 20th ranked Michigan State on Wednesday. The last time these two faced off in South Bend, the Orange fell 79-69 last year. A big reason why was because Notre Dame shoots so well from deep. Best in the ACC last year, best in the ACC this year, and Dane Goodwin is a pretty good reason why. He hits the corner 3, Notre Dame up 7-4 2 minutes in. 7 minutes later, something Syracuse is really good at, finding Jesse Edwards, because he does things like that. He dunks it home, the deficit back to 3 for the Orange. Syracuse would end up leading a little bit in this first half, but Goodwin says not so fast. Drains the right wing 3, we're tied at 35. But But then in the second half, the senior duo got it going. Joe Girard gets the steal and the score, and then Edwards on the other end, getting the rebound, slamming it home too. The two combined for 42 points. Syracuse up late in crunch time, but Marcus Hammond gets the bucket and the foul. He hits the free throw. Syracuse up 61-60. Gadamowitz has other plans. He puts it home, and Syracuse prevails by a final of 62-61. Here's Cameron Ezair with more.
When a team shoots 3 of 18 from downtown, more often than not, they lose. Well, Syracuse shot that exact clip, including 0 of 8 from distance in the second half. But the Cuse defied the odds in a 62-61 win over Notre Dame in the ACC opener, thanks large in part to SU shooting a whopping 62% inside the arc, a point of emphasis entering the game, which SU executed to perfection.
You know, we just got to be a little smarter. There was a couple, 2 or 3 times we took a jump shot that we have to get it to Jesse if we can. We can't always, but we got to keep working at that. But Jesse's been really good. I mean, he's rebounding the defensive board. He's just really getting better all the time.
We knew coming in that they were really good offensively, and defensively they might have some gaps inside. So we did try to run some sets for me. And they got me the ball really well, tried to fight in there, got good opportunities. And then the second half, I noticed they were immediately doubling those mostly. So I could just kick it out, we get good looks outside, good drives, good cuts. So it was opening up like the way we hoped it did.
Syracuse's star down low, it had to be Jesse Edwards. 22 points, 14 rebounds, his third double-double of the season, more than he had all of last year. And Edwards becomes just the second Orange player in the last 12 seasons to record a game with over 22 points and more than 14 rebounds. Edwards and company, they snapped the 3-game skid, and now it's back to the non-conference slate, taking on Oakland on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Reporting from Purcell Pavilion in South Bend, Indiana, Cameron Ezair, CitrusTV.
Cam, thanks so much. Now a quarter of the way into the season, we're beginning to see some trends. It's simple. If Syracuse fouls less and does not turn the ball over, then it will win. Unlike last year, where shooting was the MO. Scoring in the paint could end up becoming the name of the game for the Orange.
And Trey, say what you want about the Cuse and the Hoyas rivalry coming up this Saturday, not having the same juice that it once did. But make no mistake, this is still a circle it on your calendar type of game. Jim Boeheim's squad will try to avenge last year's 4-point loss. Georgetown, on the other hand, well, they have been taking down the Cuse inside the Dome since December of 2016. Now, many Syracuse men's basketball fans are salivating at what the upcoming schedule could hold. 4 more non-conference games against less proven opponents before ACC contests with Pitt, Boston College, and Louisville, who are a combined just 11 for 15. First up in this supposedly lighter stretch, well, that would be Oakland, and no, not the Oakland A's, the Golden Grizzlies of Oakland County, Michigan, and let's just say they weren't exactly swinging for the fences. 5 Cuse starters in double figures. The Orange shoot nearly 60% as a team. The starters barely took the court in the second half. All told, the Cuse score their highest output of the year, make it the second win in a row for the Orange, who have their next 5 games inside the friendly confines of the JMA Dome.
And now we're joined by Cuse Countdown analyst Caleb Nice. Caleb, thanks so much for coming in. The Orange are now 5-4 after that win against Oakland. When you look at this team and tonight's win, with that winning record, who do you need to see more from despite a 5-0 record?
Yeah, Trey, I think you need to see more from Benny Williams. I mean, he kind of settles for a lot of jump shots when he could just take it closer to the cup or dish it off. He's really inconsistent with the scoring. In Syracuse's previous 8 games leading into Oakland tonight, he scored less than 10 in 6 of those. But then against a Colgate team that came in and lit up Cuse, he dropped 17, so we know the potential's there. He just has to find it. On the defensive side, he's just there. He's stagnant. And when he is moving, he's often out of position. We saw against Notre Dame, Benny Williams moves out of position at the top of the zone, leaves a corner wide open. Notre Dame buries a 3. You can't have that if you're a starter on this Cuse team. He's not helping out on the glass either. Second tallest guy, Trey, in the starting 5, right behind Jesse Edwards. Yet he's not doing his job in helping Jesse Edwards clean up on the boards. Against Notre Dame, 22 minutes, 0 points.
You mentioned getting up or standing there like a block. It leads to Jim Boeheim getting pretty upset. But it was also Boeheim that brought in 6 new freshmen this year. Out of those young faces, who's impressed you the most?
Judah Mintz, a former top 35 recruit, has been everything Syracuse fans have hoped for and more. He's able to do it with the scoring. He's really aggressive, plays at a fast pace. At the cost, there's a couple turnovers, but it helps him get to the cup and the charity stripe. He's second on the team in points per game, just under 15. We see he has the clutch gene too against Notre Dame. He hits that game winner right at the end. And even on the defensive side, he's a pest at the top of that 2-3 zone. He forces turnovers, gets in the passing lanes, and he leads the team in 2 steals per game.
This guy can facilitate the basketball as well. Judah and the rest of the freshmen get their first experience of Syracuse and Georgetown on Saturday at 1. Q's Countdown airs at 12:30, followed by Orange Press Pass at 5, all right here on OTN. That's Caleb Nice, one of our CC analysts. Appreciate you joining us, Caleb.
Thanks, Trey.
All right, when we come back on the bench, we chat Syracuse women's basketball. The Orange were road tripping most of last week. How they fared against Purdue and Yale is next on OTB.
Let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner! Go?
Excellent. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. We're the I thought you were on my team.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Back on the bench with Johnny Gadamowitz. I'm Trey Redfield. Johnny, Syracuse women's hoops is off to a solid start, but experienced some bumps on a recent road trip that started at Purdue.
Yeah, Trey, you're spot on. Syracuse women's basketball had already lost one Big Ten game this year on the road at Penn State. The Orange flew a lead that ballooned to as much as 21 points for their first loss of the season. But the good news for Felicia Leggett-Jack's crew, how about an opportunity to salvage a Big Ten road win just 9 days after that loss? This time, it's against a tough Purdue Boilermakers team coming off a 2-1 performance at the Cancun Challenge. And early on, it was Laisha Petrie who introduced herself to the Orange faithful. She gets to the rack. How about Abby Ellis? She doesn't start for Purdue. She comes off the bench. That doesn't mean she can't hit a first quarter buzzer beater to put the Boilers up 5. SU hanging around. Big reason why Tisha Hyman pulling the trigger from downtown, keeping the Cuse in it. But at some point, they just couldn't stop Abby Ellis. She gets to the rack for 2 to push the lead to 18 at the halftime break. And, well, more of the same in that second half. For the Boilermakers, they work the ball down low all day long. That time, Petrie. Then they get it to Caitlin Harper down on that low block as well. Just no answers for the Cuse as far as the size is concerned. They did cut it to 9, but Purdue takes it 87-78. And the Cuse outscore Purdue 28-19 in that fourth quarter, but it proved to be too little, too late for FLJ's crew. Still, that's not to say the Orange didn't have their bright spots. A season-high 18 points from Asia Strong. The Wichita State transfer was 4 for 6 from downtown as well.
So a tough break for the Cuse out west in West Lafayette, but a chance to bounce back came against Yale. With losses against Penn State and Purdue, 2 Big Ten teams, the Orange were still looking for road win number 1. And it came down in New Haven where the Bulldogs were trying to create some magic on their own end, and they did to start things off. In the first quarter with 2 minutes left, Clara Astrom making a couple of moves. Oh my goodness, Shia McEvans, where are you going? She drains the three. Syracuse outscored by 9 in the first quarter. Now with 50 seconds left in the second, the cross-court feed to Kylie Capstraw. She says +3. Yale up 12 at halftime. But in the third quarter, late in the third quarter, Syracuse finally got it going. De'Asia Fair, shimmy, shake. Oh my goodness. That is not fair. De'Asia scored 15 of 17 in the second half, and that momentum carried into the fourth with her backcourt comrade. Tisha Hyman going inside, lays it up and in. It's too easy. That deficit cut to 2 now, and into the fourth. Later in that fourth quarter with 2 minutes left, Fair once again, this time facilitating. Down low to Dariana Lewis, puts Syracuse in front 58-56, and about 45 seconds later, Fair to Lewis once again, count it and 1. Lewis would not hit the free throw though, so it was 60-58 Syracuse. One last try here for Yale with 4 seconds left. Astrom going inside, can't hit the layup, and Syracuse prevails 60-58 the final at Yale. So 8 games in, and the stat sheet has been bolstered. The backcourt duo of Tisha Hyman and De'Asia Fair has featured 6 games where the two have both secured 10+ in the score sheet. But with that, there have been staples down low, with Dariana Lewis snagging double-doubles and Asia Strong getting her first at Purdue. Here's Nick Luttrell detailing SU's first road win on the year.
Today's game against Yale, Syracuse women's basketball guard De'Asia Fair only had 2 points in the first half, both of them coming from right here, the free throw line. But in the second half, she had 15 points to lead Syracuse to a 60-58 win over Yale.
It's our team. It's our family versus their team. And so if De'Asia's off, then Cheyenne came in and did a tremendous job defensively. Georgia going to the forward helped us a lot. And, Stretch came in and did some fun things. And so it's not about De'Asia, it's about our team. And I've never coached a team that had a go-to player. I have a go-to team. And so you stop her, guess what? Tisha Hyman's on our team as well. In the second half, we just canned the matchup zone, went player to player, and we fired ball and ball, and then we also went small ball because our bigs weren't moving laterally quick enough. We got to get tougher than that. I coach tough teams, blue-collar teams, and at the first half we got hit and we're not going to get the call that way. If they're going to call it and allow that to happen, then we're going to have to change the way we play. And we didn't change it fast enough. Second half, we played tough ball, and the toughest team won.
With today's win over the Bulldogs, the Orange accomplished something that they haven't done all season long, and that's win a game on the road. Syracuse will try to keep that momentum going on Thursday night back at home against Coppin State. Reporting from Payne Whitney Gymnasium, I'm Nick Luttrell, Citrus TV.
Well, we're in the business of teleportation here at Citrus TV. You just saw him in New Haven, and then bam, you snap your fingers. There he is. It's Nick Luttrell, our women's basketball beat reporter. Nick, how do you do it?
I'm doing well. I'm here. I'm ready.
You made it. Now, lots of new faces on this SU squad that now has 8 games under its belt. But Nick, who's someone that sticks out as far as emerging as a leader for this team?
Well, it's got to be De'Asia Fair, the transfer from Buffalo, a 5'5" guard for this Orange team. But you got to look at other places than just the skill set she has on the court. Now, we've seen the flashy passes, we've seen the dribble moves, the three-point knockdowns by Fair, but what I feel like people don't see is that leadership ability that she has. 4 seasons now she's been under the helm of head coach Felicia Leggett-Jack. 4 seasons. That's longer than anyone else on the Syracuse women's basketball team. So Fair's role is crucial to being a leader on this SU team and continuing to do well down the stretch as they go into conference games soon.
Yeah, Fair leading the charge for an Orange squad that has had multiple slow starts and just nearly had a very scary loss to a mediocre, or dare I say bad, Yale team. Why can't this SU squad find its rhythm for a full 40 minutes?
It's hard to say, Johnny. They're a few years into the season, and I do agree. Back-to-back games, they've had slow starts. 3 quarters where they've been struggling. In that fourth quarter, they kind of turned around. It worked in that Yale game, but in the Purdue game, as we saw a few minutes ago, it didn't work. And I think a big reason for that is the inexperience with playing together for this team. There's so many new players on this year's team. 10 new players, in fact, 8 transfers, 2 freshmen. And I know you can make that case for any college basketball team, but I think really for this team, it's inconsistency playing together. That's really what's not doing well for Syracuse.
Well, the Orange will try to make it 2 in a row with Thursday against Coppin State. That's Nick Luttrell, our women's basketball beat reporter. Nick, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Johnny.
When On the Bench returns, can Syracuse men's soccer keep on dancing? A win over Vermont means SU makes it to the College Cup, the Final Four. How much magic do the Orange have left? Find out after a short break.
hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did cats go on vacation? New York.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Hey, and welcome back inside our Citrus TV studios. It's more on the bench. Johnny Gadamowitz, Trey Redfield with you. Trey, have you been following the World Cup much?
Absolutely. I mean, especially when the U.S. was in it, then they lost to the Netherlands, but I'm still locked in. Going to be a good matchup between the Dutch and the Argentines coming up soon.
I hate to break it to you, my friend, there's really no need to be keeping tabs with it much more because right here in Central New York, well, there's been plenty of soccer to key in on. SU men's soccer, to be exact. Well, they're going for a national championship. Ian McIntyre's Orange squared off with Vermont in the Elite Eight of the NCAA tournament with a trip to the College Cup on the line. Maybe the biggest game ever played at SU Soccer Stadium. When these two teams met back in early September, it was a 1-1 draw. Kurt Kalov early on, an Olympico directly off the corner. He doesn't need anybody to touch it. Kalov doing it himself gives the Cuse a 1-0 lead. Now Vermont trying to orchestrate something on the other end, and they do so methodically. How about Daniel Pasella, a laser, beats Russell Shealy to his right. Shealy didn't have a chance, and the Catamounts pull even at 1 apiece. But this is a Syracuse team that has proved it can score in a hurry. Nathan Opoku, a little shimmy shake, locates his fellow striker Levante Johnson to give the Cuse a 2-1 lead at the half. Now the second half did not have nearly as much offense in store. SU going for that insurance goal. Opoku well too high. Vermont can't do anything on the other end. Orange Ruseliver keeps the party going for the Cuse.
They say history repeats itself, and today Syracuse men's soccer proved that to be true. Back in 2015, the Orange won the ACC title and advanced to the College Cup, both firsts in program history. And today, thanks to a 2-1 victory over Vermont in the NCAA quarterfinals, the Orange are moving on to the 2022 College Cup, following an ACC title as well.
It's difficult to win soccer matches, college soccer matches, too. So to go on a run and our body of work over the year was good enough. We were afforded the opportunity to host and back home, which was critical. You saw the atmosphere and the environment today. And for us to be able to play at home could have been the difference between two very talented teams.
Going up early was a big plus, and then they equalized it, and I guess it might look like heads drop, but I think we have, I would like to say we're a very confident team, and we trust our ability and the players around us. No one lost faith, and everyone believed we could win. And as it got down to the wire, I mean, we trust our back line, we trust our goalie Russell. He stood on his head today, and I think it just comes down to trust and belief we have within a team.
Now Syracuse hopes the history will be rewritten. Back in 2015, SU fell in penalty kicks to Clemson in the semifinals. This year, the Orange have a chance to advance to the national championship game for the first time in history. SU takes on Creighton next Friday in Cary, North Carolina at Wake Med Soccer Park. Reporting for one last time from the SU Soccer Stadium, Andrew Sullivan, Citrus TV.
So now the Orange head back down to Cary, a place where they already won an ACC championship this year. Now they have an opportunity to add to that hardware. The Cuse have their work cut out for them, though. Creighton has the highest scoring offense in the nation and is coming off a very impressive 3-2 win over Duke in the Elite Eight.
One of those wins was against a national seed. How about two others coming from a national seed as well? But obviously, it's been one heck of a year for Syracuse men's soccer. ACC champions, 2 wins over defending national champ Clemson, and now the Orange are College Cup bound. But since we have time until Cuse's national semifinal against Creighton, let's take a look back on this phenomenal season for the Orange and Ian McIntyre company. Began early with Notre Dame. The Orange took down the Irish 1-0. That momentum carried on the road at Clemson, where Cuse got it done 2-1, taking down the national champions for all sake. But then some bumps hit the road. Syracuse with 10 men fell to Virginia 1-0. The woes continued against Cornell. 2-1 the final there. Both of those matches coming at SU Soccer Stadium, a place where the Orange bounced back against a top 5 opponent in Wake Forest. 2-0 the Orange got it done, and then won an ACC Atlantic Division title in Louisville. 2-1 the final there when the Orange were ranked 5th in the nation. Then comes tournament time. In the semifinal of the ACC tournament, Syracuse gets past UVA this time around in penalties, but that would not have happened if you look into the quarterfinal round. Levante Johnson sending Syracuse through in a 1-0 final over the Tar Heels of North Carolina. But then the first trip to carry the ACC championship, beating Clemson round 2, a 2-0 win for the Orange. Hoist that ACC trophy, boys. Why not? Because the momentum carried into the NCAA tournament. A 2-1 extra time win for the Cuse, which led to a rematch against Cornell. Jonah Labeled getting the feed all the way from Russell Shealy on the other end, a 1-0 Orange victory, and then another rematch in the Elite Eight. It was a 1-1 tie against Vermont, but this time around, this past weekend, Cuse got it done 2-1, and now they're taking on Creighton in the national semis.
A lot to look forward to for the men's soccer team. Now, as for SU women's soccer, well, their season might be over, but the postseason brought awards for one player in particular. CitrusTV women's soccer beat reporter Colin Davies details the journey of goalkeeper Shea Vanderbosch.
Syracuse women's soccer finished their season with the first winning record in a decade. A lot of that success came from the hands of freshman goalkeeper Shea Vanderbosch, but the road to that success had a major pothole in it. In June, Vanderbosch tore a small part of her PCL, which kept her out of preseason practice. Vanderbosch said she was unsure about the odds of getting significant minutes.
And I honestly haven't played soccer when we started the season in like 3 months, so I was like, I'm not going to be good enough to come in here, like all this stuff. So I was really in my head, but the coaches really helped me kind of believe in myself and get back to where I was before.
That first opportunity came when SU was down 5-0 against UConn. Vanderbosch was called into the game after starter Michaela Walsh went down with an injury, and second string Sierra Giorgio let in 5 goals. The freshman played the entire second half and finished with 5 saves and 1 goal allowed. The Orange went on to win 6 straight after that, with her as the number 1. But along with all young goalies, she faced adversity. With shaky goals allowed in against Boston College in North Carolina, she showed resilience in keeping the team in the game afterwards. She credits her teammates for the confidence to bounce back.
I felt like I had really good support the whole game. Like I was kind of in my head, I just had to shake it off. But they all like on the sidelines were like, "Shay, you got this. Like you're fine. Like you made so many more saves to keep us in the game." And then the whole back line, like Jenna and them, were like, "You're fine, let's go." So I feel like it was just clear in my head, and like the support just like meant so much to kind of be able to like start the second half just on a clean slate and just forget about all of that.
And that confidence showed up in the statistics. She finished with an 85% save percentage and allowing 1 goal per game. And she was awarded All ACC Freshman Team. And now Syracuse gets her for another 3 seasons. Reporting for CitrusTV Sports, I'm Colin Davies.
Coming up on the bench, lace up those skates because we're going to the rink. And if you're anything like me, you won't be letting go of the handrail, but thankfully the same can't be said for SU women's ice hockey. We'll break it all down when we come back.
told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Time to skate here on the bench. That's Johnny. I'm Trey. How's your skating, partner?
Not very good. Not
Really?
very, quite embarrassing, to be perfectly honest.
I would be right on the same boat as you are.
We'd
but
be holding each other's hands. We'd support each other.
yeah, we would use the ledge and everything.
Yes, the
on
walker.
wall.
Yes.
Yeah, but hey, Syracuse ice hockey knows how to skate, luckily enough, despite the Orange having some lows. But the highs have been in CHA play. This weekend, Cuse took its conference-leading 4-0 record to take on 12th-ranked Penn State, a team that Syracuse was 2-1-1 against last year. Lots of offense here, but not so much for the Orange. Let's get right into it. Late in the first period, Penn State found the offense early. This one coming from Kiara Zanin. Gets the feed and goes top shelf with it. Oh my goodness, that's so filthy. Penn State up 1-0. Into the second period now. The Lady Lions, up 2-0, make it 3-0. This time coming from Alyssa Machado. Offense all over. Penn State takes this one by a final of 4-0, but there was still more to get to.
If you think installment number 1 had a lot of offense for the Lady Lions, well, check out installment number 2. You heard Kiara Zanin's name in that first game. She picked up right where she left off. Make it 2-0 PSU, and then a little bit later on, distributing from that trapezoid right behind the net, it's Zanin again, and Penn State was out in full force. This was a game that the Orange, to be quite frank, really were never in. 11-3, Penn State takes it. So, a few days after outscoring Post 16-1 in a 2-game span, Penn State outscores the Orange 15-3. Gives them a taste of their own medicine, drops the Cuse to 7-11-1 on the season, and the Orange don't take the ice against another CHA team until January 20th against Lindenwood. Before that, a couple of non-conference matchups against Vermont, Colgate, and Cornell.
And now we're joined by CitrusTV ice hockey beat reporter Ryan Nelson. Ryan, this was a Syracuse team that got dominated by 12th-ranked Penn State this weekend. A 4-0 loss on Saturday, an 11-3 loss on Sunday to the Lady Lions. Let's keep it simple. What happened down in Happy Valley?
Not good things, Trey, I'll tell you that much. When you lose 11-3, it's not often a good weekend. And I can stand up here and say that Syracuse lost this game and they're a bad team, but let's not overreact. Penn State is a good offense and they know how to put pucks on net. And that's exactly where Syracuse's weakness is. Syracuse cannot stop pucks from getting at Ariel Desmet. She made 35 saves on the Saturday game, and she still gave up 4 goals. When your goalie makes 35 saves, you usually expect to win the game. That's the issue. Also, Syracuse is losing in the faceoff dot. That's not a recipe for success if you're the Orange.
Which is wild because the Orange last season were one of the best faceoff teams in the nation. But let's talk about this team's identity. Simply, what is it this year?
I think that this team is one that they can score the puck, but they can't stop the puck. Look, Ariel Desmet, I mentioned her earlier, she's a good goalie in the CHA, and most of the CHA competition around them, besides Penn State, aren't up to the level that Syracuse is at offensively. The problem is, when you give up so many shots, your goalie can't do as much. Offensively, Syracuse is fine. They have pieces. Sarah Marchand, Madison Primo are really coming into their own this year, but the losses defensively are really tough for Syracuse to come about.
One of those losses is Jessica DiGirolamo, who is one of the best defensemen to come to Syracuse University. That's Syracuse ice hockey beat reporter Ryan Nelson. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Trey.
And when we come back on the bench, we bring in Ian Nicholas to talk Syracuse football. Find out what the Cuse Countdown analyst has to say about the Orange ahead of their Pinstripe Bowl clash with Minnesota. That's next on the bench.
Here's to the straggly ones. The first ones. Hey, I look good with this ones. The black, brown, red, and gray ones. The itchy ones. The ones grown by Dad. The ones grown for Dad. The I nearly didn't do it this year ones, and the absolutely filthy ones. They all raise awareness, raise funds, start conversations, and save lives. Because whatever you grow will save a bro. Learn more at Movember.
We're subbing on the fly here on OTB. Trey Redfield is out. Ian Nicholas is in. Our Q's Countdown analyst on to break down some SU football on the gridiron. And look at that, even wearing your football tie, Ian. You ready to rock and roll?
The plays are on the tie, but the plays are also up here.
All right, well, there you have it. Syracuse and Minnesota getting ready for the Pinstripe Bowl. An Orange team that is going bowling despite losing 5 games in a row, 5 of their last 6. The Q's salvage a win to end the regular season against Boston College. Ian, what are some of the positive takeaways for Dino Baber's crew down this home stretch?
Well, down the home stretch, the offense was up and down, Johnny, but Damian Alford really finally consistent. Over 200 yards and a touchdown in his last 4 games. He only had 7 catches through the first 6 games, so there's still upside there. Defensively, Marlo Wax was dominant down the stretch. 40 tackles and 2 sacks. That's why he ended up as an all-ACC honorable mention.
Wax will try to do his best Aaron Judge impression when the Orange do indeed go down to Yankee Stadium to take on Minnesota in the Pinstripe Bowl. Ian, the Q's 2-0 all-time in this Pinstripe Bowl. How do they make it 3-0? Do they stack up well against this Gopher squad?
The Orange do not stack up well at all, and here's why. In Syracuse's 5-game losing skid, their undersized, undermanned defensive line gave up over 200 rushing yards per game. Meanwhile, Minnesota has Mohamed Ibrahim, one of the top running backs in the country, top 4 in rushing yards and rushing yards per game. Ibrahim, you could call him a Wolverine. He tore his Achilles last year, but somehow he's back better than ever.
I like Wolverine. He's not an Avenger, though, right?
No.
We could have picked a better superhero.
Oh,
than
come
him.
on.
No, that's Ian Nicholas breaking down everything we need to know on the gridiron for SU football ahead of the Pinstripe Bowl.
Well, guys, good stuff as always. Game 13 is something we have not talked about with Syracuse football since 2018. The Orange have had their peaks in 2022, but have also had their valleys. But to go through it all, we bring in fellow OTB anchors Ian Udsworth and John Dales for the 2-minute drill.
Thank you. Syracuse football was like a massive roller coaster. You went up, 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 hit the peak, and dropped straight down.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover. 12 games through the season, bowl game coming to boot. And Ian's got to run because the 2-minute drill starts right now.
Let's be honest, not a whole lot was expected of Syracuse in the preseason. They were picked last in the Atlantic Division preseason poll. But Dino Babers and the Orange started fast. SU punked Louisville 31-7 on opening night. It was all orange in the Dome. And next week, they easily beat UConn 48-14. Garrett Trader won 2 back-to-back Pro Football Focus honors. Boilermakers melted down in week 3. Syracuse won 32-29. And after a strong 3-0 start, the Orange kept things rolling in some nail-biters.
Well, Ian, it wouldn't get any easier for Orange fans after that close Purdue finish. They'd keep biting their nails once Virginia came to the Dome. SU was in a battle with the Cavaliers. They jumped out to an early big lead, and then Garrett Williams got a late pick. That got a win in that game. Never in doubt against Wagner. The next game, 59-0 blowout. Then the biggest home game in over a decade. The Orange roll all over NC State, 6-0. And after the game, the students rushed the field.
So Syracuse heads to Memorial Stadium. 2 undefeated teams, number 5 Clemson against number 14 Syracuse. The Orange got the better of things in the first half, but after a massive momentum swing in the third, lost 27-21. Things fell apart next week against Notre Dame. The Orange got smacked around in the Dome, and then 2 weeks later, Pitts handles backup Carlos Del Rio Wilson. The Orange only scored 9 points. Everybody kept asking the question now, with injuries and the like, how far would Syracuse stumble?
Syracuse wouldn't just stumble, it would fall flat on its face as that 3-game losing streak compounded itself when Florida State came to the Dome for senior night. That Derek McDonald strip sack, one of the only highlights in a 38-3 loss. Very next week, losing streak goes to 5 after Wake Forest scores 35 unanswered. But to round out the season, a 26-point fourth quarter and a second-half comeback makes Syracuse with a win against BC and go into the bowl game on a little bit of a high note.
So you add it all up, and what do you get? The Orange and the Golden Gophers for all the Pinstripe Marbles. These two teams actually met in the 2013 Texas Bowl, a 21-17 Syracuse win in Houston. As far as this week is concerned, Syracuse pretty middle of the pack in the ACC. Minnesota mostly middle of the pack in the Big Ten, but Trey, it is really that running game that stands out as far as Minnesota. Mo Ibrahim, you heard a little bit about him earlier. He's been nothing short of a workhorse. However, last time out against Wisconsin, the All-Big Ten first team are limited to just 70 net yards on the ground. Uncharacteristic for Ibrahim.
I mean, look, before I get into that, can we talk about how awesome that 2-minute drill was?
That was very cool.
That was phenomenal. Big shout out to Jesse Cook and the rest of our producer team. But a trio of names stick out on this Minnesota squad. Johnny, you mentioned one of them. Running back Mo Ibrahim is really that dude in the backfield, averaging about 145 yards per game. And look out for Tyler Nubin in the secondary. The fourth year's 4 interceptions was tied for 3rd in the Big Ten this season. And finally, you have Tanner Morgan, who had a dominant 2019 season, but he doesn't throw the football much, and that's case in point in 2022. Just 153 attempts through the air. That came from the grad student this season. That's the 3rd least in the Big Ten. 7-5 Syracuse, 8-4 Minnesota. December 29th from Yankee Stadium at 2 o'clock. Jacob Morris has it all at Jacob Morris TV for live updates. You will not want to miss it. And still to come on the bench, it's time for awards. When we return, we will hand out our teams of the semester. Who makes the cut? Who doesn't? The answers are revealed next.
OTN is on all your favorite apps: Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Search Orange Television Network or OTN. OTN has its best shows, short films, and CitrusTV on demand. Family and friends can watch OTN too. Watch the live stream of OTN to catch live CitrusTV news, live from Studio B, and mornings on the Hill. On or off campus, watch OTN anywhere.
Back on the bench, Trey, Redfield, Johnny Gadamowitz. Johnny, you and I make a great team. You know that. I know that.
I would say so. Yeah, I would conclude as much.
I would agree with that. I mean, we've been doing this for a few months now, but you know who may have us beat?
Who's that?
Who's that? Well, it's
a tough gig.
It is a tough gig, but it's the teams of the semester that have us beat. It's time to go through who showed out the most this fall and in the early winter. Our best teams on the Hill. Johnny, you ready to do this?
Oh, I am ready. Let's do it.
All right, let's rock. Coming in at number 3, Syracuse football, a team that is bowl-bound for the first time in 4 years. Dino Babers and company started out strong with a 6-0 record, but went on a forgettable 5-game skid after that hot start. The Orange finished the regular season at 7-5, with Aronde Gadsden making the All-ACC first team as a tight end, along with Matthew Bergeron and Sean Tucker earning second-team honors. The Pinstripes Stripe Bowl is next for Cuse, a bowl that it is 2-0 in program history.
All right, a respectable decision. I like it. Time for number 2. How about Ange Bradley's crew next? SU Field Hockey pieced together a very nice season for themselves over at JS Coyne Stadium. 16-6 overall, a perfect 9-0 record at home. You can make the case the only games that Syracuse lost down that home stretch were games that they really had no business winning to begin with. SU was bounced by eventual national champion North Carolina in the ACC semis and fell to second-ranked Maryland in a shootout in the Elite Eight. Still, 5 Orange players went on to be named NFHCA All-Region Honors.
All right, time for number 1. Johnny? I gave you a drum roll. Time for you to give me a drum roll.
It's not going to be as good as yours, but here goes nothing.
Here we go. And stop. There we go. Solid. Good stuff. But it's Syracuse men's soccer. This one was an easy pick for myself, Johnny, and the rest of the OTB team. Let's just go right through the resume. 3rd in the nation going into preseason play. Check. ACC champions. Check. 3rd overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Check. And finally, heading to the College Cup for the first time since 2015. Check that too. You got all that?
It's a lot to keep track of, but it's a very impressive year.
And now they are 2 wins away from a national title. They're your teams. You got it. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Football, field hockey, and men's soccer down the line. But when we're back, we'll hand out our performers of the semester. The top 5 is next. After this, it's OTB on OTN.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average 4-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
A 60-minute on the bench. You ever heard of that before?
60 minutes. Can't say I have.
That's pretty wild. But hey, it gives us time to hand out our performers of the semester. That's Johnny Gadamowitz. I'm Trey Redfield. It's time for OTB's Best 5. Here we go. We thought we aced the teams of the semester, but we hope you think of the same with our performers. Let's get right into it and start on the volleyball court. Polina Shimanova, and why not, right? I mean, look, it's just another fantastic season for the grad student. Shimanova scored 458.5 points with 402 kills this season. It was this year that she snagged the all-time kills record at Syracuse University, finishing her collegiate record with 1,869. And what better way to round out the 2022 season with first-team All-ACC honors, the 3rd time she has done that at SU, John.
Very impressive feat for Shimanova. Let's move ahead to number 4 here. How about the most consistent weapon all year through the air for Syracuse football? That would be Oronde Gadsden. He was Miami LeBron era. Let me tell you why.
Man.
I got a lot of 6s for you here. 6 games with at least 6 catches, 6 touchdowns on the year, and 6 games with at least 85 yards as well. Gadsden had 515 more yards than any other Syracuse receiver. He was the go-to option all year long for Syracuse quarterbacks.
Okay, number 3, let's go. It belongs to Karina Comins, who is an offensive juggernaut for Syracuse field hockey this year. The forward was 3rd in the ACC in goals with 17, and with that, Comins had 10 assists, so you do some math. For a point, goals are 2 points, assists is just 1. That's 44 points right there. That was good enough for another grad student, this time at Comins, to earn first-team All-ACC honors. Not too shabby.
A lot to like from Comins. Now we'll fast forward to number 2. Let's go Jesse Edwards. The Flying Dutchman has really emerged as one of the leaders for the Cuse this season. You think about coming into this year, Jesse Edwards, Joe Girard, those were the 2 names that came to mind. Well, Edwards has started all 9 games for the Cuse, and is leading the team with over 15 points per game. How about that? Who would have thought Jesse Edwards would be leading this team in scoring? And not only is he pacing the Orange in scoring, but he's also averaging a double-double, over 11 boards a game. Maybe the most important stat, though, throw all that out the window. If you only take one thing away from it, it's this. Edwards is averaging just over 2 fouls per game. He's only fouled out 2 times, and over his past 2 games, he's just picked up 1 combined foul. Trey, when Edwards stays out of foul trouble, the Orange have success.
That's 100%. You may be wondering why I'm wearing goalie gloves, but it's because it's time for our top performer of the semester, and it belongs to this guy that's been making saves all year. Russell Shealy making saves left and right for the Orange. He's number 1 on the pitch, but number 1 in your heart. Shealy came in clutch when it mattered most in the ACC tournament. The redshirt senior was the competition's most valuable player, and that momentum continued into the NCAA tournament. Shealy had saved 5 shots in the last 3 matches, so top team and performer of the semester goes to Syracuse men's soccer, and look, rightfully so, Johnny. This team is good.
And he's looking to add the icing on the cake, and by that, of course, I mean being the leading netminder on an NCAA championship winning team.
Last time I checked, that's not too shabby. Syracuse making its 2nd trip to Cary, North Carolina this weekend. Andrew Selliver has all the coverage. At Andrew Selliver on Twitter for live updates. Who knows, maybe Shealy will have the ball in his hands and making sure it doesn't go behind him in the goal down in North Carolina. But still more to get to on the bench. But what we begin to close the curtain on what has been a roller coaster of a show and one heck of a semester. Our top plays from the fall semester is next. It's the home stretch of OTB right here on OTN.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a 4th ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
About to wrap things up here on the bench, which is kind of wild. Time flies when you're having fun.
It really does.
60 minutes. First time we've said that with OTB since 1987. That's Johnny Gadamowitz. I'm Trey Redfield. Let's just go through a checklist real quick. We did it with Syracuse men's soccer earlier, but let's just run it through. We had teams of the semester. We had performers of the semester.
Which were 2 spot-on lists, might I add. You can debate it all you want. I mean, those lists were about as set in stone as you could possibly have. From my vantage point, at least. I don't know if you agree.
No, I was with it. Okay. I was with it. Russell Shealy making the save. You saw my goalie save. My hands reek now, and I apologize in advance. You can smell it from here.
Yeah,
but let's get back to this real quick.
Can.
Top teams, top performers. I'm missing something. You know? Wait. I got it. Top plays of the semester.
Yes.
These top plays are special because they're from the entire fall semester, including the fall season and the winter season. So why not? Let's get right into it and start with number 10. We got 10 of them for you. And I remember this from earlier in the semester, Johnny. I was surprised this was not number 1. Aronde Gadsden climbing the ladder to make the grab. I'm going to do what you did and just stop and just admire what he just did right there. That is absolutely phenomenal. Gadsden fired up. Syracuse would win its 6th straight and take down NC State inside the dome.
Whoever that poor Wolfpack defensive back is, he got
horrible.
mossed, to say the slightest. How about this? Watch the moves from Deasia Fair. A step back, in-your-face 3-ball. Trey, how do you guard that? What's the game plan to stopping Deasia Fair on a move like that? Really impressive stuff from the Buffalo transfer.
If I told you, if I knew, I would tell you, definitely. But to field hockey for number 8, Karina Comans making the diving score against Louisville. Charlotte DeVries and Comans have been a 1-2 punch all year. DeVries couldn't finish, but Comans certainly can. John Eads was fired up about this when he was talking about on an OTV. That goal was a game winner against the Cardinals.
A lot of Syracuse Orange fans are very excited about Judah Mintz, the freshman, because of what he can do offensively. How about what he can do defensively? Look at that. An absolute run down the court, coast to coast block up against the glass. That's not a goaltend. That's just perfect timing from number 3 in Orange, the athleticism on full display.
How about Munir Hema, too, getting the 2nd block? But into number 6, time for women's soccer. Pauline Mochtons gets the steal late. She can't finish, but Kobe Commandant can. The lefty shot goes in. It's a 2-2 tie against 2nd-ranked Virginia, one of the biggest results in Syracuse women's soccer history.
We'll keep it on the pitch for number 5, and we've spoken all show about what kind and how special of a year it has been for SU men's soccer, and a goal like this is a big reason why. Levante Johnson, the game winner over North Carolina, down the home stretch, propels Syracuse further and further into postseason play.
All right, number 4. We love some Syracuse men's soccer. How about Syracuse men's basketball? Judah Mintz once again slamming it down in Champaign. That was ridiculous. The offense was struggling, but Mintz says, hey, let me try and help out a little bit. Mintz just does just that. The freshman getting it done, but Syracuse did not get it done that night, falling to Illinois by 29.
We'll move over to field hockey, and if you keep tabs with this team, Charlotte DeVries is a name that you should recognize because she can create plays just like that one. A rainbow pass right on the doorstep. All number 17 had to do right there was tap it right in off of a beautiful feed from DeVries.
That looks like a 7-year-old going after the high cheese in Little League Baseball. But to number 2, it's a game winner. Once again, Aronde Gadsden making the grab against Purdue. The long pass from Garrett Schrader. Gadsden is there to make the catch in the corner of the end zone. Syracuse wins its 3rd straight after that, taking out Purdue 32-29.
That one had a case of being number 1, but when you have a play like this, it's tough to top. Kurt Kalov in the Elite 8 of the NCAA tournament gets the party started for the Syracuse faithful. Look at all the Orange fans on hand. Watch the eruption on that Olympico. Syracuse takes the game 2-1 in large part due to Kalov. Perfect ball placement, and the Cuse continuing for a national championship.
That was absolutely phenomenal. I guess an Olympico tops it, and when you're in the World Cup swing of things, and not even that, NCAA soccer swing of things, you have to make that the number 1 play. Solid choice.
And Kalov is someone who has really caught fire for the Orange as of late, too. Let's not forget, this is a team going for a national championship. If he can continue that sort of production, that sort of play, there's a decent chance the Orange are going to be hoisting a trophy, end all be all.
Syracuse against Creighton on Friday, and if they win that, they'll play either Indiana or Pitt in the national championship on Monday. It's going to be a wild one, and it's been one heck of a semester. We thank you so much for being with us throughout. This wraps up On the Bench, and this wraps up our tenure for this semester. Hopefully, we'll be back next spring.
Nice work, my friend. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate you as always. With Johnny Gadamowitz and our entire production team, I'm Trey Redfield saying thanks so much for tuning in all semester. Here are your images of the week.
Judah Mintz dunks all over Sky Clark. Throwing, he's got a man, he's got Gadsden, yes! It's a chance here. Fight! It's Levante Johnson. He's got a turn. Johnson trying to get into the box. He scores! Unbelievable!
Oh, Deasia, that's not fair! By Jordan Nelson, the freshman straight to the basket.
You're not that guy.
Rejected by Judah Mintz.
No, trust me. You're not that guy.
Rejected by Munir Hema.
He throws.